Okay, so we're calling to order Ukiah Valley Sanitation District regular meeting on Wednesday, January 10th at 6 p.m. And roll call, please.
Director Marshall?
Present.
Director Baucom?
Here.
Director Ritt?
Here.
Vice Chair Reed?
Here.
Chairman Merrill?
Present. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 2 is public expression. We welcome participation in the board meeting. Comments shall be limited so that everyone may be heard. This item is limited to matters under the jurisdiction of the board, which are not posted on the agenda, and items which have not already been considered by the board. The board limits testimony on matters not on the agenda to 3 minutes per person and no more than 10 minutes for a particular subject. I will also add that you do not have to state your name. You may state your name if you wish. And this is the opportunity for people to speak directly to our board. You're not speaking to the gallery. And people from the rest of the gallery who's in the audience listening to this public expression, please don't holler out anything at them. This is their opportunity to speak to the board. Thank you. Anyone like to take advantage of this?
My name is Don Crawford. I'm a district ratepayer, and I just want to use this opportunity to ask if there will be public discussion about the closed session. Will the public be allowed to speak before the closed session? Or should I speak now? I don't know what the protocol is, whether the closed session.
So you want to speak on a closed session item?
Yes. The public, is there public comment on item 7?
Would that be, Doug, would that be,
We can do it now or.
it's your preference. You can do it now if you like, so you don't have to stick around if you don't want to.
Well, I probably will.
Okay, it's up to you.
Okay, so this seems to be a consequential time. And here's what I've learned so far in this long process. We've learned that this, in doing the most recent first and going to the last thing, we've learned that this litigation is going to cost the city and the district some millions of dollars because of the bond rating that is in the tank because of the litigation. So I've taken the city staff at their word that this is a very consequential time. Secondly, farther back, we had an election with unmistakable messaging, incumbents supporting an old agenda being massively rebuked. A message to everyone in this room that the district ratepayers are overwhelmingly in concert to rid the district of this litigation, possibly this law firm, and definitely an old hateful agenda. Those on the board that still harbor that hatefulness are now on the wrong side of the story. Most importantly, no matter what the motive, when a $30 million lawsuit targets thousands of innocent households and businesses who did absolutely nothing wrong, the consequential immorality quickly becomes the story, which has happened in this case. Full disclosure, my mother is one of those irrelevant citizens. The district ratepayers refused overwhelmingly to be part of that atrocity. Now it's time to honor their demand and end this. If the law firm refuses to cooperate, terminate them. You have that mandate. You have that requirement. And that's all I have to say on that subject.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
My name's Lois Erickson, and I was quite involved in this last year, and then I have not been to another meeting. I've been gone most of the time since right before the election. I haven't been to any more meetings, and I was sort of of the impression, just to add to what Don said, that when the new board came in, that we would be done with this lawsuit, be done with these attorneys, and I just want to reaffirm that that's my position, and that's what I would like to see happen.
Sure. You got 3 minutes.
Well, I would believe that we're all diligently working towards that end. That's our goal.
Well, can I say something else, or is that?
No discussion, please. He's
Okay.
allowed us to make a comment. Is there anyone else from the gallery who would like to take this moment to speak?
State Sandocuma, City Manager for the City of Ukiah, and a few points as you again deliberate in closed session, hopefully to bring this litigation to an end. The City Council last week approved in their closed session and came out and reported that they approved on a 5-0 vote the revised trial settlement agreement and mutual release of claims forwarded by the city attorney to the district on January 4th. So that revised agreement has now been approved and is ready for your consideration. We hope that you do consider that in closed session. The city, like I believe the district, has a strong desire to bring this to an end. There are a lot of things at risk, and I just want to outline a few of those things. First, we've heard about the bond refinancing. We have the opportunity in a very short window that is just about gone to refinance the debt, which will save in total an estimated about $16 million. If we miss this window, we're rolling the dice with the federal interest rates that with all conventional wisdom out there that the feds are going to continue along the interest rates that they've already identified for this following year, which is potential of additional 3 rate increases. And that's the reports that I just read in the past week. That's the conventional wisdom that's coming from the feds. But we're rolling the dice with $4 million of potential savings. It's not a dice that I think we should be rolling. I think we should do everything in our power to save that for the ratepayers. Second, the litigation is continuing. There's depositions that are scheduled first starting next week. We're in deposition prep this week for our team members that have been noticed for deposition starting next week. And then the city likewise has had to notice for deposition. So there's a full schedule of depositions for the next month and a half that are now planned. And those depositions and that time and effort and those legal costs are being expended today. We are having to absorb those costs, and they will be absorbed. Third, system operation. For the past 3-4 years, there's been no coordination of system operation. We do not have a unified CIP plan for any improvements to the system. We have no forecast of what that's going to be. We have not done our ratepayers justice by ignoring what the system's needs are. We need to roll up our sleeves with regard to that business and do what our primary task is, and that is to preserve the best services we possibly can for the system. You have before you an agreement that you can take action on. City Council did it, you could do it. The other thing that I'd like to say is on the participation agreement items of how the system looks like and what it is moving forward in our relationship. Those discussions should not be conducted by attorneys and staff in the back room of any office outside of the view of the public, without public discussion, I'll wrap up, thank you. Without discussion of the two boards, the policymakers. That should be in the hands of the policymakers, and I have every bit of confidence in the policymakers that are sitting here and the policymakers at the City Council that those items that are causing us grief in the participation agreement, we can get to that solution. But we must end this litigation. And I implore you to look at that this evening. Consider these items in your deliberations, and let's do it. We have an opportunity to do it and move on. I appreciate the additional time from the chair. Thank you very much.
So yeah, we have had over 10 minutes of speaking regarding litigation, so it is 10 minutes per subject. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on an issue that's not specifically regarding litigation?
Well, I think that's probably the most important thing. I'm a city
Please
resident.
go ahead and speak.
Okay, I'm a city resident, but I was involved in getting public notice of what was going on with the litigation. And I think that the sand district, and because I'm just as affected in my rates for the city as you people are living in the sand districts, because the city's also charging us just like you're charging your sand people. I think that the sand people, definitely, the people who live in the sand district voice their opinion. And I was glad to hear that you guys are working towards coming to an end. But I just want you to realize, I don't think people are fooling around. They're tired of this bickering, and that we keep attorneys on staff making more money than probably anybody on this board, anybody in this audience. And you need to do everything you can to bring this to an end. Because I think the city is doing their part by voicing their opinion.
Leon, right here. You know, I continue to say that it takes two to fight. And it costs money. It costs money to do it. But I look out here tonight and I see where the money's being spent. It takes a whole consortium of the city of Ukiah. Do you see anybody out there, maybe other than the guy that's filming this? It's pretty much not the city of Ukiah. How much are we spending here tonight? Engineers, lawyers. Does the city have something really to say? That they have to have the full city here every time we have a meeting? And as for the sky is falling, we've known that for, as far as I'm concerned, for 10 years. And don't tell me we had full disclosure in all these agreements that have gone on. It didn't happen. The trustworthiness has a lot to be desired, what we're doing here tonight. Again, I'm going to say to you, loud and clear, that there's some of us out there that want to make sure that the Sand District and the Sand District people get a fair shake, and I hope you guys do give them a fair shake. Because if you don't, I can guarantee you we will be looking at the results of what you come out of your negotiations with. Thank you.
Anyone else? Close public comment. Consent calendar. Would anyone like to comment on the consent calendar from the gallery? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment on the consent calendar. Does anybody wish to pull anything? Well, we have one thing listed here on the consent calendar.
I would.
Well, no, we can just, it's only one thing. So anyway, I guess it can be officially pulled. It's fine. Okay.
So I wanted to add to, during our last regularly scheduled meeting, we've gone over October and November of the check register, and we've requested that we get detail on those here at this next meeting. I also wanted to, I've made copies for all the board and for the audience too, of these months also from the county, so that we get a full accounting of our check registers from both sides. So I'm gonna give those out. Just take it over here, Chelsea. everyone wants to take a look. So, on the, so we'll call this the savings bank account. Well, so in our packets from the board for our savings bank account, I'm curious the checks that are written to the Sand District itself on 10/30 and 10/31. There's two checks written, one for 50,000 and one for 4,000. Where do those checks go to?
Where are you looking at? In November?
October 30th and 31st?
Page 3.
So that was when we first got our savings bank account.
Okay.
So we were just trying to take as much funds as we could out of our DFA account without having to we just wrote checks to our new bank account.
Okay.
So, the first one was for 1,000 and then we had to disperse more funds into savings bank. So we just had to have 1,000 to start, I believe. It was like they wanted us to secure the account with 1,000. So we went in like a week or two later and put in more funds. So that's what you're seeing. We were just transferring from bank to bank.
Okay.
We
From the county in October and in December, there are two separate $75,000 checks that were written to the district. Is that kind of the same thing? Or
So the only time we request money from the county to the district is when we're putting them in our personal, not our personal, but our business bank account. So that's SBNC now.
And then I see that we have Susan David as a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
I'm curious what she does for the district.
So she does payroll. And so like around this time, she'll be mailing out W-2s and tax return forms.
And I'm also curious, as far as Chelsea on here, it doesn't break down how many hours per week she's working. So, just on your checks, it just has, the amount that it's paid. I'm curious how many hours per week.
It varies.
What's the average?
Well, I work 5 hours a day here, so it's,
Monday through Friday?
no, I do not work Fridays.
Okay, so,
And then, like tonight when we have meetings, I work more hours. Sometimes when I'm running a little behind because I'm not here that much, I'll stay a little later, like maybe an hour to try to wrap things
so
up.
maybe like 20 hours a week.
Yeah, it varies.
Would you like to see her timesheets?
No, I'm just curious because it doesn't say on here
Yeah.
how many hours.
I'd be happy to show you if you want to.
It's always something we could add to the reports if you like. Right? It's just one piece of paper.
And then I have a question on the county on page 3. The deposits that are made, the cash deposits, at the bottom of the sheet. What would those be? Do we collect any fees?
So the deposits are just like, the city of Ukiah will send us over a collection sheet, so I have one that's 4 pages that I'm waiting to complete because I've been so busy this week, Joe's not here. It's pretty much just like when I send out the letters and people come pay their delinquent accounts, that's the only money we ever deposit.
So these are all the
That's it,
delinquents?
yeah, and that's all, yeah.
We have under the California code, we have a different way of collecting the delinquent accounts than the city does. We're actually allowed to submit lists to the auditor's office after a public meeting, and they collect the money for us using the tax rolls, using their taxing. And so they actually give us the money in advance, and then they're responsible for collecting it. So if you see big deposits like that, it either can be A, just the taxes that we get every year, or B, the collections.
Yeah.
And the collections are usually quarterly, I believe.
Well, and I also received the collection list too. Lori just tries to send them to me when she gets them,
Okay.
or when she gets it put together. I don't really know the process, but it just, when people come in and want to pay off, I have a whole process. I have an Excel spreadsheet with everyone on there, their addresses, how much they owe, and every time someone comes in and pays it or has a payment plan or something, I write down for the check number, and I copy the check. If it was a money order, copy the money order. If it's cash, just write cash. So I have all that in there, or if you'd like to see that as well.
So much like when we discussed this October and November, I don't feel comfortable approving it until we've gotten all of the details that we had talked about in our previous meeting. And I believe we tabled them for this meeting to get those details. So I'm wondering if we should table them again until February when we can get the details.
Yeah, it would just due to lack of staff, and staff has also spent a lot of time putting together the different meetings we've had. And with the litigation, a lot of our daily duties have gone to the wayside that need to be addressed, and that's one of them. It's preparing for regular meetings.
What do you want to see, like, as to more detail?
I would definitely like to see Joe's expenses broken down. And some of these, it's hard to tell whether it was expenses or his salary because there's no hours on here as far as what's being worked and what we're reimbursing. Just as much detail as possible that we can get on all of these things.
So I would also be more than happy to show you how QuickBooks generates that. I really have no option of how I want that to look. What happens is the checks that I write and print out in the office, QuickBooks automatically generates that. So it's what I put on the check. So
Right.
I could put it in the memo if you want that, like how many hours.
Well, that'd be great moving forward, but I would definitely still like, and I think that it would be good for the board in the entirety to see the different things as far as what Joe's getting reimbursed for.
And I actually have some papers I was gonna meet with you next week that we use at LAFCO, that our EO puts together, and it will show how many hours they worked and on what project, and so we can go over that together and when Joe's back and work on that so that we have all the detail for the board that they're requesting. Okay?
So I would move that we table this.
Just a motion to table, is there a second? All in favor of tabling this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Approval of the board meeting minutes. Anyone from the public wishing to discuss the board meeting minutes during public expression? No. Close public expression. Does anybody have any corrections or modifications to the minutes?
I do.
Okay, so we'll have to pull that.
Well, it's not perfect, Sam.
No, but you can approve them all at once if you want. So let's take them one at a time then. December 13th?
Yes. So on number 10, I just wanted to reiterate, it doesn't say in the minutes that the board was going to revisit Joe's contract and continue working on that. It just kind of seems like we made changes, we moved forward, and you had the authority to sign for the change from 12 to 9 months. And so I want to make sure that the minutes reflect that we will still be working on his contract, but it wasn't completely approved during that meeting.
And we haven't agreed to, that he's gonna be staying on past June. We haven't voted on that or talked about if he's going to stay. So it sounds like,
So are you looking to add that, or are you saying that there's something in here that speaks
It's
to
just, it's lacking, it just seems like this is complete, that this has happened and it's over. But during this discussion, it was, the majority of the discussion was that we were still going to be negotiating revisiting his contract.
That's actually on the agenda for tonight, he's not here, so that's probably gonna be tabled, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to add something to the meeting that didn't happen.
It did happen.
Well, I mean, we didn't really discuss it, right?
We spent a lot of time discussing it, and at the end of that, we
We
said
didn't
that we were
discuss,
gonna
we
bring.
didn't discuss whether or not you remained
I'm not-
after June.
I'm not adding that. I'm saying for what I'm wanting to be added in here is that we are still in negotiations for that contract, that we didn't approve that. We were gonna revisit it at the next meeting.
The only thing I got about that is, yeah, I don't disagree with that concept. What kind of wording were you looking to add to that?
Well, I mean, I rewatched the video and we discussed and said that we would be bringing it back at the next meeting to continue.
I would just like to say that there was so much discussion on that, and I tried to be as detailed as possible, but the rules say that the only thing that needs to be reported in the minutes really is the motion and the second, and how many ayes, how many nays, or whatever. And the motion was strictly what it says here. I made sure to put it down word for word. And the motion was not, it was never said that it was gonna be revisited. It might have been in the discussion, so that's why I said discussion amongst the board, but that was never part of the motion.
My understanding is it would be revisited, but it doesn't necessarily change anything that's here.
It's up to you. Would you like to add a sentence to the minutes that said the board will take up Joe Tate's contract at a future meeting? Okay.
Can you say that again so I can get that down?
The board will discuss Joseph Tate's contract at a future meeting. Are the rest of the minutes okay? Yes. So is there a motion to approve these minutes as amended? For December 15th?
Sure.
Is there a second? I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, December 7th and 19th. Are there any questions or corrections to those minutes? Not, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve December 7th and 19th. Is there a second? Director Bakken, second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Discussion and possible action, board protocol, adoption of Robert's Rules of Order. So I asked the board protocol to be put on our agenda because we're having some concerning issues, regarding the Brown Act. We all went through Brown Act training, but I'm concerned that maybe we forgot some of it. So what is happening is that we need to discuss this for a minute, because what's happening is that serial meetings, there's a high likelihood that serial meetings could be happening. We have people, board members and directors meeting independently with city staff, then contacting another board member and sharing that information. If that information gets to a third board member, by any means, whether it's in a ad hoc committee meeting or a standing committee meeting, or they told their buddy out on the golf course and then another board person found out, now you have a serial meeting occurring, and that's a violation of the Brown Act. And that's severe. That can't happen. We cannot communicate without being at a meeting with each other. We can't communicate behind the scenes, negotiating settlements without the full backing of the board and the board's direction, because it is against the law. And that is that has been brought to my attention. I'm not pulling this out of the blue. It has been brought to my attention. And we need to have the protocol that needs to stop. And that we all need to revisit the Brown Act and revisit what it means. And to revisit what a serial meeting is.
I'm sorry, I just had,
Sure.
no, I was just holding it up.
Dr. Bakken?
I've been meeting with a lot of city members because I'm getting information to help settle this lawsuit, and sometimes one of the board member will come with me, but I don't discuss it with any other board members. So
You don't have to. What if the other board member does?
well,
Then there's a serial meeting.
I don't think so, but I'm not going to stop discussing things with the city staff. I'm going to continue. It's my right to continue and to gather information from the city. So, and I go to my attorney, I meet with the attorneys, I meet with everybody, as many people as I can. I've been spending a lot of time trying to gather the facts, so I'm better informed. So,
I've always been kind of curious, Doug, what are the consequences if the Brown Act has been found to be
compromised or broken.
You know, it depends on how it's violated, in what manner,
I mean, do you get strung up, you get
and
drawn in court, what happens?
there's, you know, Government Code Section 54960.1 talks about unlawful action by the legislative body. District attorney or interested party may commence an action by mandamus or injunction for the purpose of obtaining a judicial determination that an action taken by the legislative body was in violation of several of the government codes and is null and void. Action taken that's in violation of the Brown Act is generally going to be very null and void. So
Well,
that's the biggest.
I can understand how it would create an issue, but I don't see like any teeth behind it, if you will. I mean, if a person violates the Brown Act, what are the consequences?
Like I said, any action taken by the board on that item is going to be null and void.
Okay. That was real clear, what you said, so, okay.
Second thing that was brought up by Director Bockham is individual board members communicating with legal counsel without the chair knowing, without our district manager knowing. And it makes it impossible to control our legal fees when we don't know who's talking to what attorneys. We have attorneys being contacted while they're on vacation, and we have appointed an ad hoc committee to address litigation.
I'm confused because at the beginning of all of this, we were encouraged to go and visit with the attorneys as much as we felt needed. And so now we need to put a check on how much we're doing that, or?
Well, what's happened is, receiving information from the attorneys is good, right? But what's happening is I have emails to a certain attorney where a board member is giving them direction. And it's not a board member, it's not the chair, it's not the ad hoc committee, it's an independent board member giving an attorney direction. And that without the weight of the full board behind them. And this board, no one person has the authority to make a decision for all of us. And I feel that's inappropriate. And I have instructed the attorneys, I'm not going to pay legal fees when you are given direction by a single board member that contradicts the direction our board as a whole has given you. Because that is counterproductive, it's a waste of money, it undermines our entire board direction and what we've chosen to do, but it's happening. And
Is there a better way to channel the communication? I mean, actually, I do believe that it is important for the board members to interact with the attorneys, to become better informed, because that's actually crucial. But if you feel that the communication is kind of circumventing the board, then is there a better method to be used? I mean, do you want them corresponding directly with you, with Joe? What do you got?
I would like our board members to, if you're going to meet with our attorneys, shoot me an email. Say, I'm going to meet with the attorneys today. I don't think we should be demanding of our attorneys anything, though, that is against what our board voted on and has instructed them to do. That's what's happening.
I see, okay.
So, yes.
Real quickly, I think the distinction is going to the attorneys and getting information about different things is one thing. Telling the attorney as a single board member what to do or to take specific action is completely different.
Right. So I've had attorneys contact our manager and say, hey, I'm on vacation, but I was told by one of your board members that I need to be at your meeting. Chair didn't know about this, general manager didn't know about it, but an individual board member told one of our attorneys to be available while in Panama. This is not acceptable and this is unprofessional. This is unethical. We are a team and we are a board, and I'm going to be on the end of a losing vote, but that doesn't mean I'm going to circumvent everything for my personal agenda. I'm part of this board, and I'm 1/5. We're all 1/5 of this board. And the decisions this board makes is what we go with. Once we make a decision, we shouldn't be off on our own giving different direction to our attorneys. And how much money are they billing us to do that? And they don't even tell me. I don't know when somebody's, communicating with one of you and going off and doing something that somebody here asked. So I'm asking the attorneys, if you've been asked to do something by a board member, I'm not paying you to do it. I'm not gonna sign off on that voucher. Getting information is one thing, but changing the direction and the decision that our board made as a whole is not okay. And I hope I have everyone's support in that. Can I at least get a commitment from everyone here that we will work as a team, and once we instruct and give direction to our staff, we won't contradict that individually?
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you.
Robert's Rule of Order, because that was what you brought this up for? How does that?
Yeah, and that was the third thing.
Okay.
So board protocol, several issues. 1, Brown Act. 2, talking to attorneys. 3, discussing if this board would like to move to adopting Robert's Rules of Orders or stick with our current rules of orders, which are kind of what the county follows. So I said that would be on a future agenda. I wanted to put that on there and get your feedback.
I would like the governance committee to have an opportunity to work with our current policy.
Perfect.
And then we can kind of merge a little bit, but once I saw that this was on the agenda for this, I've done quite a bit of reading on Robert's Rules, and it is very detailed and very in-depth.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that we can kind of streamline the process and have simpler answers. I mean, there's a lot to it. And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking that it might be a little bit much. We're trying to get through so much right now. So maybe have the governance committee meet, redefine what our rules are.
So this isn't an urgent item that the governance committee must meet on urgently, but let's refer it to the governance committee, and they can bring us back their recommendation.
When would you like that by? Next meeting?
I will leave that up to the governance committee, considering all the special meetings we're having and everything we're doing right now. I'll leave that to your discretion, since it's not an urgent item.
We have a large book of business at hand. If we can follow the present rules, I think we'll be better off to
They're pretty
resolve the
simple.
issues at hand.
Okay, so that's it for 5, unless anybody else has any discussion on that item. Okay, item number 6, announcements, other business matters from staff. Anyone from the gallery wishing to comment on our announcements? Seeing none. Public expression is closed. General manager report. Do you have anything to report from Mr. Tate?
No, I hope he's doing well though.
I do too.
Me too. Much so.
Okay, director's reports. Do any directors have a report?
No, but I do have things that I would like added to our next regularly scheduled agenda. Would that be a time to do that, or do we wait till then?
I'll just wait till the end, right?
Either way.
Okay, I do have a report, actually. So, directors, I have a report on the bond agreement we received from the city of Ukiah. It is not a closed session item, so we can discuss it, and because it is our ratepayers' money that we're committing to for the next, 30 years, I think it's important that I report out on the agreement we've received.
18 years.
18 years. Okay. So we received amendment number 1 to the financing agreement from the city of Ukiah. It was first brought to us during public expression at a special meeting. And then we received this document about a week ago, what's it say? So I just want to bring to the attention when we're talking about the bond, and as I read over the agreement the city gave us for the bond, I just want to point out some concerns I have for the ratepayers in signing this document as it is. First off, the document refers to an indenture document 15 times. And it says, please reference to the indenture of trust, as written in the indenture of trust. We never received the indenture.
Now, Jared, there are copies of that for us?
It's not on the agenda,
It's under director's report.
but it's not listed that you're gonna be discussing the bond agreement.
And it is not listed tonight, and you want to talk about Brown Act? You're breaking it right now.
We can't report on this?
You can report on it, but you're having a discussion with handouts.
There's a difference between
Yeah,
this
and
and
if you're gonna make, and if you're gonna make
Okay,
statements like
Mr.
All
that,
right.
Rapport, can
then
you,
the public should have
Mr.
an
Rapport?
opportunity to comment.
No, excuse
Mr.
me.
Rapport.
Director's report. We've
Okay.
received a report from the city and we find major flaws in it, and we will be addressing it in closed session. Thank you. Okay, letters received or sent.
That's illegal too.
Possibility for them to go on that.
Okay, we do have letters received from the district, written letters sent to the district. And may I read from the letter? It was from a ratepayer, no? Yes?
Is it-
These are at the front, copied, right?
Is it signed? Do you know who it's from?
Let's see.
No, it's
Just lifelong resident of Ukiah. No? Just want to make sure.
I don't know if the district has a policy, generally unsigned letters aren't given any weight.
Okay, then there's no use in reading it then, if it's not
You
signed,
made
it
it
won't be given
available,
anyway.
you made it available.
Okay, we did make it available though. So we
So
do,
we can grab a copy of that
I
too.
haven't heard.
yeah.
It's sitting up.
It's just a letter received. Okay, let's address any other letters sent or received? No. Let's address, next agenda.
So I would like to make sure that on the agenda for our February meeting, during our last regularly scheduled meeting in December, I had expressed my interest in inviting Dan Buffalo to come and present us with the P&L and answer questions regarding what the city has for us. I was hoping that that would have been on tonight, but I want to reiterate that I would like that added to our next meeting in February. He also offered to get a presentation set up when we were discussing Mr. Tate's agreement and bring forward information they have on the difference between the contract employee and a regular employee. And I would really like to take the city up on that offer to have a presentation on that.
Chelsea, you getting this?
Yeah, I would like a full detailed accounting of the district manager's reimbursements with receipts. I would also like to have a complete P&L, including all county checks and the district manager included in that. That was something that I had talked about when we went over the P&L from previously. I would also like to make sure that ratepayer Crawford's email correspondence is on the email for us to discuss. And I would like to make sure that is a public conversation that we can have. And I would like to talk about adopting dual signatures on our checks, so that we have any more checks and balances in place.
I don't know what email you're talking about. Was it sent to the district?
It was sent to the district. Joe sent it out to everyone after my request to have it added to the last week's meeting.
No.
I never got it. Did you get it?
Also, I know Joe did have a meeting set up with the city finance director for the day that we had our special meeting. So because our special meeting moved around and took precedent, that got put to the wayside and he was never able to meet with him. So that's why that didn't happen. But hopefully it'll happen soon and then we will ask him to give a presentation.
So you got all that?
Yeah.
Good? Okay.
Anybody?
There's always the video too.
Yeah. Anyone else? And I think that'll do it. So we will adjourn at 6:45.
Said that you would allow public comment before the.
I gave him the option to.
Well, I don't know if anyone else
I
took
think-
up on
I
that.
think
but-
Okay,
More
so
public than
before
wants
we
to comment.
adjourn, is there anyone who, item 7 is closed session. Would anyone like to use this opportunity to comment on our closed session?
I just wanted to bring you up to date on the amended financing agreement, given the comments that you made, Madam Chairman. We've had 2 telephone conferences with Don Mullen and the refinancing team, which includes the underwriters council, bond council, and Don requested a copy of the indenture of trust, which he received a couple of days ago. I
In
believe.
draft form yesterday?
Yes,
In
draft
draft
form. Draft form is, that's the only form in which it exists at the moment. It's a work in progress, and it won't be finalized until all of the agreements are finalized. But he's got the current draft. And he also expressed a number of concerns about the amended financing agreement in a phone conversation at the end of the day on Friday. And as of today, he was sent both a list of all the issues that he raised and how they were being responded to and proposed amendments to the amended financing agreement, which he also received today, this morning. So whatever version of the amended financing agreement you've seen, the most current version is the one that was sent to Don.
Why is he here? I'm wondering.
He will be.
He won't be
good.
here. But do you know what time that was sent? Because I talked to him.
Around between 10 and 11. That's as soon as I got the.
Can I ask a question? If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a question. So since it is in draft form and you guys are still negotiating, that means that we also have some weigh in and we can.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
So this isn't, you guys are presenting us with something and saying you have, this
No,
is it.
this is a
This
work
is
in
our
progress. I guess
negotiations.
that's my point, that we're
Okay.
trying to work together
I
to
appreciate
get
that.
this done. It's a very tight time frame. It's, we met Friday, the bond council made all these amendments over the weekend. We got them to, I'm sorry, where are we? Yeah, it's today's Wednesday. Yeah, he worked on them on the weekend. He got a version of them over to us last night. We got them out to Don as soon as we could this morning. So everyone's working very hard to try to meet these time deadlines if possible. It's unclear whether we'll make it, but trying. And we're trying to work together. We're trying to work collaboratively on this, and we've been involving Don as much as possible in doing that.
I just want to make sure as you go into session that, there's kind of multiple paths here and things that are happening. There's the active activity to get the financing and the financing agreement that we're all working very diligently under on a very short timeline. We're all working under those same short timelines. And information is being exchanged quickly, as fast as it can be, and updates to that financing agreement are being made. And I'm confident that with that continued cooperation, we can get to a final agreement that is in everybody's best interest. Then you have potential amendments to a participation agreement. That's a separate, again, a separate item that I think with the boards working together, we can do that, but that needs to be done outside of a back room in a legal office, city or the districts. It needs to be done with these boards, the city council and the district board working together collaboratively in open session, discussing those items and deciding how best to move forward. The third item is the actual settlement agreement. That's the item that the city council has taken action on now twice. There's the revised one that came back to you on January 4th, and now that sits before you. So there's 3 separate items here, and they don't have to be acted on all together to get us there. We need to begin taking steps. And in my view, we can't get to bonding if we don't have settlement. And we can't get to working towards improving the system and doing what's right by the ratepayers and managing the system if we don't get settlement. And we're going to continue expensing a tremendous amount of legal fees. And I'll remind you, $6 million, you know, and that's as of about November. And each month we were in deposition, you know, that number is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars per month between the district and the city. And that's what we're right back to again, starting now. Because those deposition notices have gone out, deposition prep has already begun. District and city are working on that. And then we're going to now start expensing staff time on having to prepare for depositions, both on the district and city side. This is not just one-sided. So I encourage you to look at those items independently, separately, and begin taking steps, including considering that settlement agreement that has been revised and sent to you and approved in substantial form by the city council this evening. Thank you.
May I make any comment? I would like to see the bond agreement brought to our board in open session for the public to see, and I'd like to make it public. Section 14 of the agreement says, no district control of financial operations.
That's one of the changes that's been made.
Well, thank you. So I'd like to see this come before the full board in open session at some point, just the bond issue, because I don't think it's a closed session item. For now, we're done with public expression. Okay, adjourned at 6:52. Ukiah Valley Sanitation District has come out of closed session and is reporting the following. We have given direction to staff and attorneys. The board has given direction to the settlement ad hoc committee to meet with the city ad hoc committee as soon as possible to further settlement discussions. And 3, written communication from the district board to the city shall be sent. And we are adjourned at 9:36 p.m.